Hey everyone, my daughter Dani had a few stims in the beginning initially, and in this video I'm going to talk about what they were and how we actually dealt with them. Hey everyone, my name is Mel. My daughter Dani was diagnosed with severe autism at 18 months old, but by the time she was 3 years old, she had fully recovered after we started treating her for virtual autism. Virtual autism is not a medically recognized term, but we discovered it and we decided to treat her for it. And as I said, by the time she was 3, she had fully recovered. So if you want to see her story, you can check out this video. I am also creating a document that will list in order all the steps that we did to actually help her recover over that 18-month period that we were working on getting this virtual autism resolved. If you have any additional questions, by the way, please leave them in the comments for me. I really want to help as many people as I possibly can. So leave your questions down there and maybe I can get to a video for you. But the stims that Dani had, there were 3 main ones. The first one was that she started to do this weird thing with her fingers. She would like cross her eyes and then like stare at her fingers at the same time and like cross her fingers in a weird way. That was the first one. That has completely resolved. The second one was hand flapping. So she would flap her hands, and that was like virtually a constant thing. She used to hand flap all the time. That one's also fully resolved. So as I said, those 2 completely recovered now. I don't see those things with her anymore. The third one was a sway where she just sways. Sometimes she sways like this, or sometimes she's like that. She still occasionally does that. At first, I was wondering if there was something to do with her ears that was causing that, because when she was originally diagnosed at 18 months, she was having repetitive ear infections and there was a lot of fluid on her ears, which we later discovered had actually a lot to do with her inability to speak. She couldn't actually hear. So because she couldn't hear, she wasn't learning to talk. And this was just a symptom that looked like autism, but actually it all was related to virtual autism and a vestibular sensory processing problem that she had. So because she still occasionally sways, it's very minimal, but because it still happens occasionally, I decided to check her ears again just to make sure that there was no fluid or anything. Her ears came back fine, so I thought, well, let me check her eyes. And her eye exam came back fine. We've had her eyes checked twice now. They said that they will, actually in a couple of weeks, they're going to put a drop in her eye where it dilates the pupil. But they said they can't see anything, but that if they do that, they'll make sure they're not missing anything. So we're going to check that just to make sure the sway doesn't have anything to do with her eyes. We did then check with the OT, who said that what was happening was like so minor, didn't actually even warrant anything. Their best bet was that there might be a self-soothing thing as part of this that would cause it every now and then, or that it had to do, and this is what I think more likely, to do with the vestibular sensory seeking thing, because that was a big thing that Dani initially struggled with when she was very young. It was what caused her movement problems. She couldn't walk. As I said, she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk. So we discovered through different things that this was actually a vestibular sensory processing problem as well. So we're thinking that sway is probably to do with that, because from what I understand, some kids actually just seek movement to help their brains know where they are in space. So swaying rhythmically here and there is part of what they do to get that movement that they need. Important to mention, it doesn't hinder her at all. It doesn't stop her from any kind of activity. It is also not something that's constant. You'll just see it happen here and there, mostly when she's not engaged in something. If she's not running around, playing, busy with her hands, doing something, you might see her sway here and there. But the key here is what I've been told is that as soon as you mention it or speak to her about it, she can stop. It's not something that she can't control. She can easily come out of it and focus. And now, let's say she's coming up the stairs and I see her swaying and I'll ask her, Dani, why are you swaying? She'll laugh and then she'll pretend to dance and she'll say, I was just dancing, and then she'll just stop and carry on doing whatever she was doing. So our best bet from what they've told us is that it's a harmless stim and we should just let it go. So we're not really doing anything about it. They said we could try and do certain things like bear crawls and like wall push-ups, things like that. And I did do a few of those with her, but honestly, Dani just got irritated with it. And she was just like, I don't want to do any more bear crawls. And from what I saw, it didn't make any difference to this way. So it doesn't even bother me anymore because it doesn't seem to bother her. And it's not hindering her in any way. So I did hear once someone said, if your child has a stim and it's not actually hurting anything, by trying to take that stim away from them is like taking training wheels off a bicycle when they're trying to learn to ride their bike. And because I know she's had vestibular sensory processing issues before, I don't want to be that person who takes the training wheels off the bike. So I'm just going to leave her be and trust the Lord with the rest of it because he's already brought healing to everything else. So let me talk about what we did. For the hand flapping and the eye crossing and the fingers, that disappeared for Dani within a couple of months of turning the television off. If you haven't watched our story, we turned the TV off for a full 2 years when we were working on Dani's recovery. She had no screen time during that recovery. If you haven't watched that video, go and watch it. And let me just also say, if you're looking for specific help, if you're looking for answers about what we did or didn't do or anything, put it in the comments because I really want to help as many people as possible. So nonetheless, we took screens away for 2 years while she was recovering, and that eye crossing and finger weird thing that she was doing like that disappeared within a few months. And the hand flapping, that took a bit longer. That was probably a year, maybe a little bit longer before it stopped. But once the TV was off, it did eventually completely stop, and it hasn't come back. So and I mean, it's important to know that hand flapping can actually be very typical for development in certain kids. Like it depends up to what age or whatever. But I've seen lots of typically developing children actually hand flap just because they're excited. So don't automatically assume that this is autism or even virtual autism if you see your child hand flapping. So my opinion, I always say this, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical expert, I'm not giving medical advice. Please go and speak to your own doctors for medical advice, your own therapists. I'm just sharing what I saw, what we saw as a family. And, if I had to do this all again, if we were faced with the same challenges that we were faced when Dani was 18 months old, the first thing I would do is I would turn the TV on because it made a massive difference. I would ensure that she was getting adequate nutrition with lots of healthy fats and proteins. I would incorporate tons and tons of personal interaction, one-on-one interaction, and I would limit time alone that she had on her own, or him if you've got a little boy. I would limit time alone because the minute they're doing nothing all alone without any interaction or anything to do, stimming automatically goes up is what we saw. So yeah, that's what we would do. Check out my resources. I don't have tons available yet, but I'm working on it. As I said, I'm also creating a document to outline exactly what we did step by step, just to help you. I really want to help other parents be like a whistleblower for this virtual autism because it's such a real thing. And thankfully, I've got my daughter back. So I want to help as many of you as I can. So, hit the bell if you want to get notified when I release that document, because I will create a video saying the document is available. So if you've hit the bell, you'll get a notification saying I've released a new video. And I will ask, if you know of people that are, letting their kids watch a lot of TV, share this content with them so that they can be warned that, television can actually cause autistic-like symptoms. And anyone that you think might benefit, share it. We want to get the word out and help as many people as possible. And again, as I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments for me and I'll try and get back to you. God bless. We'll see you next week. Bye.